I've set up my new mic. I guess y'all will have to let me know how it sounds, but from what I've tried, it's better. Hi, and welcome to Quilt Meets World, where we have adventures in piecing and joy. I'm Russ. Come on into my sewing room. So yeah, I got the new mic set up. I need to test it with things like Zoom and if it picks up my sewing machine and that. For all I know, that's going to stay on the old setup, and this is going to only be for weekly vlogs for now, but it gets me one step closer to the setup that I want. What mic is it? Well, it's this one. Isn't it pretty? I don't know what kind of ambient noises it picks up and stuff, like if I pick it up and put it down. But it is from MSI. It's a something fancy pants model that was on sale for half off from one of the deal sites that I like to watch. And so it was a couple weeks ago. It's like normally $100. I got it for a little bit under 50, which I think is a good price for a mic. It got pretty good reviews, and I think the big thing is they labeled it as a streaming mic. But I imagine that the stream most people are doing is either gaming or podcasts, not necessarily sewing. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to use this at all with the sewing setup. I'm going to have to do some tests. Ideally, I would like to be able to have like one of those arms or something put in so it's just out of the camera view. But I think no matter what I do, it'll end up picking up the sewing machine. So I'll have to do some tests, figure it out. The important thing was, I wanted the audio to be really working right for my weekly vlogs. I don't sew on my weekly vlogs, so I don't have any concerns about all that yet. And then I can figure out any of the stuff that I need to do later with that. Maybe I might be able to just kind of hide it out of view in front of the machine and tell it to only listen in front. It's just, I got to figure out what works. The thing I am not so thrilled about already is it's on when my computer is on. I don't want it to burn out, but I have this bad habit of leaving my computer on 24/7, mostly because the case is underneath my desk all the way in the back, so I have leg room, and it's a lot of work for me to find the power button. So I leave my computer on. I know it takes some electricity, but in my opinion, the few dollars that it's taking in electricity is worth the effort of me not having to hunt down where a power button is. But I don't want my mic to burn out, so I have to figure out some sort of a solution. Part of me is thinking finding one of those switches or something that I can put on this side. I'm going to have to do a little bit of research. And now that I'm remembering how this plugs in, I think I know what I can buy. And it should hopefully work. We will find out. It is low-hanging fruit right now. I can just unplug it when it's not in use. And I'm just, happy that this setup works. What else has been going on? Thursday was exciting because I had eggs delivered. Well, kinda. I was telling, coworkers that I was waiting for the UPS guy to deliver me some eggs, and they were like, "You have friends with chickens?" And I was like, "Yeah, not in this state, but specifically the eggs in question that I'm getting are Cadbury's." Because, well, that same deal site I got the mic from, also, I think a day or two later, had a 48 count of Cadbury cream eggs on sale for stupid cheap. So I was like, yep, I'm getting these. I got the delivery notification on Thursday that they were sitting on my front porch, which was also a little bit warmer of a day, so I was a little concerned. And I got home, I opened them up, and was kind of disappointed. I did not get Cadbury eggs. I got Reese's eggs. And it wouldn't have been so bad, except the price of the Reese's eggs were less than what I paid for the Cadbury. And also, I found out later that a lot of these eggs are half melted. I mean, they still taste the same, but it's a lot more work to get them out of the packaging. A friend of mine told me to dispute the charge with my credit card company because it was an error, but I'm more of a let's try to get it resolved with the company in error first. So I sent them an email, and the next day they had emailed me back saying, oops, our bad, here's a refund, and you can keep the Reese's eggs. So I got free eggs out of it, and, they're out a few dollars, but it happens, and they didn't get in trouble with the credit card company. So I think it's kind of a win-win-win, I'd say. Friday afternoon, the fabric I needed for the Star Cakes quilt arrived. I think I told you Russ mathed wrong because he added an inner border that was not in the original pattern. And I needed to get more fabric. So it arrived. I haven't quite touched it yet, but that is on this weekend's plans. This past Saturday for my 11Zs, I worked on the sashing for the Bright Sides Saturday sampler I had worked on the blocks earlier this year with. The sashing is a piece sashing. So I rewrote the pattern to eliminate a whole bunch of unnecessary seams. So as a preview, the pattern wants you to create a whole bunch of these and put these around the blocks. And it ends up in some areas, you're going to put this way. 2 of these together, which would create some bulk here where the flying geese come together. It creates some bulk here and here where these come together, the snowballs. And I'm like, that is a lot of bulk for me to have to deal with. So I ended up rewriting the pattern to make this, which looks identical to if I had sewn these 2 together. I've only got 2 hands. So if I had sewn these 2 together, it's basically identical to this. And I don't have the extra bulk here. I don't have the extra bulk here. And it just seems to go a little better. Hypothetically, I'm saving a little bit of fabric because I don't have the seam that is here. I don't have the seam that is here. And that. But with a couple miscuts that I made, didn't quite save as much as I had hoped. But I don't have this fabric earmarked for anything else, so that is fine for me. I had to do, both ways because these are the outer border pieces or outer sashing pieces, and these are the inside pieces. But hopefully I had explained enough in my 11Zs as to why I decided to rewrite it and make sure that it's there. I did not give instructions, and I am not going to give instructions for the new way that I had put it together, simply because one, I don't know how much of that is really considered new. I know that I completely rewrote how to do the center stuff, but I did not rewrite how to do these pieces. So I'm like, I don't think that's enough of a change in my opinion. Maybe, question mark. I'm not an expert. But it also doesn't make sense for me to just give sashing instructions and finishing instructions without giving a full quilt. And I can't give the quilt for the rest of the block. So I will maybe figure out something at some point if somebody is an expert and wants to let me know if it is something that I am allowed to do. Maybe I'll write it up, but I'm just going to say probably not for now. I do recommend rewriting patterns after you have studied them enough and you're like, I don't know if I like this, I don't know if I like that. But before you do actually implement the new pattern, make sure you have enough fabric, because that has been my big issue recently with me rewriting some stuff. Is I didn't give myself enough fabric. This was basically a kit for Saturday Samplers finishing, so I knew I did not have any wiggle room beyond what they cut for me, and so I wasn't even going to, so I had to just make sure what my instructions were going to do were enough, which I had to triple check, and I had enough. But yeah, I definitely don't recommend it if you're not going to do the math to make sure your new pattern will fit. After my 11sies, I got a special delivery. I had sent the queen-sized graduation quilts off to my friend Stephanie of Stephanie Stitches for the quilting because they're too big for my long arm. She had them for however long she had them. I think it was about a month or so. That's usual turnaround time for a long arm, it seems. And they arrived back to me on Saturday. I knew what the quilts looked like that I sent her. And, I pieced them. I knew what they looked like. I had visions in my head on the quilting. But there is a completely different look you get after they're quilted. I don't know how to describe it, but I'm sure you've experienced it if you've had to drop something off to be quilted and you get it back. But as I was unboxing these, I kind of teared up a little bit. They look incredible. I can't show you guys the pictures yet, because there is the smallest chance that my sister will try to watch my videos before her graduation, and I can't spoil it for her. So you will have to wait. But I will tell you, they are gorgeous. I still have the binding to do, and I have a little bit of time in my to-do list for that. So hopefully I'll be there. If you join me on any of the sew days and I have them in the area that I'm working on, I will gladly show them off, but I think those chances are probably slim, just because I'm probably not going to be working on binding for a queen size quilt with a camera like a foot behind my sewing machine. After admiring the quilts, I had to run to my local quilt shop because I needed fabric. I may or may not have said last week that a coworker had a baby, and she is now back to the office from her maternity leave. I stopped by last week and said, okay, did you have a little boy or a little girl? Because, you are not allowed to hand me down the quilt that I gave your first baby. So, she says she had a little girl, and I just immediately started putting together in my head what I wanted to do. I know I needed at least to get borders for the baby quilt. I was thinking about, do I just cut up all the scraps that I have back there, which is an effort, or do I just buy a charm pack? So I went to the quilt shop hoping they had a charm pack. Yeah, they didn't. So I ended up ordering a layer cake as I was in the parking lot on the way out. and I will just cut that into 4, and I will have 4 baby quilts prepped. So win again. The rest of my time in here was spent getting the rest of the inner sashings put together. I have them here. They just need to be pressed. And for the outer sashings, I have 2 more squares I need to cut and slice in half for the triangles for the flying geese. But then I should be able to get those outer sashing pieces done, and I can start putting it all together. And then at work, I have a couple little updates. Tuesday morning, I was evil and checked my eggs before I left the cafeteria because dude who can't cook eggs was cooking. Lo and behold, they were overcooked. And I was like, yeah, these are overcooked. I ordered over medium. And the dude had the nerve to say, you asked for well done, right? And I said, no, over medium. That's what's circled on the ticket, and that's what I always ask for, without letting him know that, it was me who has been complaining about his egg cooking issues to the manager. He recooked them. I peeked in the little clamshell container, and they seemed right by sight, so I took them. My tummy was just like super grumbling, and I needed food, and I was like, I'm not dealing with this anymore. Were they right? Well, I guess you'll have to wait to see in the scenes from the week. Also, between Monday and Tuesday, and probably today too, I watched a crew erecting a stage on the lawn. Apparently, there's going to be a big event happening on campus Thursday after work. So, I don't want to be anywhere near all that stuff, so I'm probably shifting my work from home day from Wednesday to Thursday this week. I won't officially know if that's what I'm doing until I wake up, but this video is already recorded and ready to be published by then. So I might be exhausted doing 3 days in a row in the office, but such is life, and I won't have to deal with the mess that's going to be going on campus on Thursday. Knowing my luck, they'll be sending out an email tomorrow afternoon saying, hey, work from home Thursday due to the event. And then I'll be like, yeah, I knew I should have. I have a busy weekend coming up. Friday, I am planning on loading the backing and batting on the long arm for the baby quilt. I know I haven't started it yet because Saturday for my 11sies, I'm going to be working on that baby quilt. I know that I need to have everything done for a week from Saturday for show and tell. So my plan is to get it loaded or get the long arm ready for it to be put on, and then just run it either Saturday night or Sunday night, depending on when I have the availability, so that I can quickly get the binding on sometime early next week and have it ready for show and tell. So yeah, Saturday for my 11sies, I'm going to be working on the baby quilt. It is going to be the same pattern that I have done in the past on my channel. So there will be nothing new except, the new fabric that I'm going to be working with. I think this is the official chance for me to validate all my dimensions in the pattern that I have written in Notepad before I try to write it up for, some form of publishing for people to download. I know people have asked for the pattern. It's a super simple pattern. So hopefully, this is okay, I'm doing all the math, or I've done all the math. Now I'm just, checking all my numbers. So everything is going to be cut from the pattern and making sure that those are right. If those are right, then I can make it into a pretty format. So during my live, we will sew and chat, and my plan is during the live to get the center of the quilt done. I have done that in the past where I've done the live and managed to get the center done. Pretty exciting, pretty fun. And if a quilt pattern goes together that quickly, it is great for a baby quilt. After my live, I'm planning on joining my friend Steven of The Idiot Quilter on his pop-up sew day. Always have a lot of fun on his pop-up sew days, and my plan for his sew day is to get the borders done on the baby quilt, get the borders done on the Star Cakes quilt, the one that I had to buy the extra fabric for, and start piecing together the rows for the Bright Sides quilt, which I should have hopefully his sashing done by then. Sunday is going to be the exciting day because I will be hosting my Sewing Shenanigans sew day. For those of you who aren't in the know, Sewing Shenanigans is a private Zoom that anyone can join if you want to come in and sew with friends. We're all friends here. We don't care if it's your first day sewing or if you have been sewing for 732 years. And if you have been sewing for 732 years, let us know your secret. It is free to join. You don't have to sign up in advance. You don't have to do anything but have a device with Zoom installed and have a little bit of basic knowledge on how to use Zoom. Because, it gets a little annoying if somebody is just, off to the side, having a conversation with a spouse or ended up taking over the volume with some humming and stuff. So I've been known to mute some people, but you can unmute yourself later if you want to chit chat and stuff. We do have a friendly bunch of folks who join, and we always have a blast chatting and sewing, and sometimes we even enable each other to buy something. I have sent out the link to the folks on my mailing list because mailing list folks find out first when a Sewing Shenanigans Day is coming up. I have also included in the link or in the description box below this video a link to the Zoom, and I will also be putting it in Saturday's video as well. So if you'd like to join, please do. It's always wonderful to see folks, and rumor has it there will not be a Sewing Shenanigans Day in May because of my travel schedule. So what will I be working on during my sewing shenanigans? Probably putting together the Bright Sides quilt. Uh, I know that by the time that Sunday comes, I should have everything else done for quilt tops. I may end up, getting some binding done on the baby quilt, but I'm not bringing in any of the big queen size quilts just because I don't want to be pushing the camera away and having people looking at the camera like, why is it moving? Why is it shaking? Why is it doing all this craziness? And it's because there's a lot of quilt between my machine and the camera. So hopefully I will be able to get, some good projects done. I'm very excited about having a Sewing Shenanigans Day. I was thinking between, this weekend and Easter weekend, but I was like, there's going to be a lot of people probably spending Easter with family. So, yeah, this weekend is a better day. So, yeah, I have a lot planned this weekend, and hopefully I will get it all done. Anywho, I think that is going to be about it for today. Sharing my weekly shenanigans is one of the highlights I have each week. If you wouldn't mind making the YouTube algorithm happy, that would rock. You can do things such as liking and sharing this video, commenting below, or buying eggs. The Cadbury kind. Which I think I need to find more of because reasons. Subscribing to my channel is free and a wonderful way of letting YouTube know you like my shenanigans. Ringing the bell icon next to the subscribe button gets you notified when I go live on Saturday mornings and when I upload videos throughout the week, specifically, my weekly vlog, but sometimes, random videos do appear. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day and an awesome week. Until next time, stay happy and remember, always measure your life in love.